Good morning. My name is John Jones. I'm chairman of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to the notice provisions of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act, with all participating authority members attending in person. While this meeting is open and public, there will be no public comments, as is OTA's longstanding historical practice. In addition to being open to the public for in-person observation, the meeting is being live streamed and recorded for remote viewing. The time is 10 a.m. and I'm calling the August 5th, 2025 regular meeting of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority to order. Jenny, please call the roll.
Mr. Will Berry.
Here.
Mr. Todd Cone.
Here.
Mr. Gene Love. Mr. John Ditzworth.
Here.
Ms. Dana Weber.
Here.
Mr. John Jones.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Our first item would be the approval of minutes for the regular meeting of July 8th, 2025. I believe we've all been furnished a copy of the minutes. Ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second. Thanks, Ms. Weber. Please vote appropriately. Voting has ended and the minutes have been approved for July 8th, 2025. First item of business from the finance side, Mr. Todd Cone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Patterson.
Good morning, Chairman Jones and members of the authority. Item number 1300 is the payment register prepared by the Comptroller Division. This payment register includes all payments made for the month of June 2025. The staff has reviewed this item and recommends this item for approval.
Any questions regarding the payment register? And if none, then I would move for approval of the payment register as presented dated June of 2025.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1300. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Weber. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended and item 1300 has been approved. Our next item of business is the engineering and construction items. Mr. Berry.
Thank you, Chairman Jones. First item is item 1301, will be presented by Mr. Garter.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, members of the board. Presented for consideration of the authority is a request that the following change orders be approved. Of these change orders, 2 overrun existing items due to site requirements. 1 adds new items to compensate the contractor for additional work. This item has been reviewed by staff and is recommended for approval. And as always, be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1301. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cullen. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended and item 1301 has been approved.
Thank you, Jeff. Item 1302 is the next item, which will be presented by Ms. Ledan.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, members of the authority, Director E. Kelly. Submitted for consideration of the authority is a request that the following item be approved. The summary of the item is as follows. This is for SP 65 modification number 4 for the program management contract with the Access Oklahoma Bond Program. The consultant is Poe & Associates for the not to exceed amount of $17,265,000. This contract modification is for the program management services for the Access Oklahoma Long Range Turnpike Improvement and Expansion Program. The program management services include providing corridor management of all aspects of project delivery in each Access Oklahoma described corridor, as well as additional access points on existing turnpikes. Additional services include, but are not limited to, alignment studies, oversight and coordination of all design activities, right-of-way plan activities, environmental studies, permitting and field compliance, program cost and schedule controls, GIS data and mapping, public involvement in meetings, and other services directed by the OTA. This contract as modified, is for services anticipated through summer 2026 and may be renewed annually over the life of the Access Oklahoma Bond Program. This contract is the hourly not to exceed contract. The amount due under contract modification number 4 shall not exceed $17,265,000. The total revised contract shall not exceed $45,056,654. And I would love to give a little bit more statistics to support the increase of the access volumes between 2024 and 2025. These are the following. In 2024 and 2025, we had 6 corridors active. We are going to be engaging in 8 corridors, which includes the Gilcrease and the South Extension Turnpike. This in itself is a 33% increase in the corridor management activity. For the design submittals for QA/QC, last year we performed 96. This year we are anticipating 133. Their environmental studies, the field studies and reports, we had 97 last year. We're going to have a slight decrease to 62 for this upcoming year, but this net increase is due to the fact that we are completing the phase of this program, and we are going to be shifting into the environmental permit application. Last year, we have 35. This year, we're going to anticipate 99. So there's a huge jump as we're entering that phase. Other items that we did go into, and we got more sub-consultants on, are aerial imagery. We utilize that for right-of-way needs and overall aspects for mapping, and that is program-wide. We also have right-of-way documentation that is program-wide, constructability support, public relations for the South Extension and East-West Connector turnpikes, and the 3D modeling on the East-West Connector at I-35 interchange. Staff has recommended this above item, and we recommend approval, and would be happy to answer any questions you all may have.
Are there any questions?
No, I just want to thank you for going into more detail about what all this is included. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any more? If not, I make a motion that we approve this item as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1302. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Cullen. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended, and item 1302 has been approved.
Last item is item 1303, which will be presented by Mr. Gore.
Good morning, members of the board. Today I present for consideration and adoption a resolution of necessity for condemnation of certain real property along the interstate along the, interest along the east-west connector, submitted for approval by authority as items considered and adopt attached resolution of necessity for condemnation and certain real property interest along the east-west connector. Today I bring 4 properties. The first property is for project 28502A, which you can see on an aerial is just to the east side of the river. This is parcel 4. We're currently having to condemn this property because we don't have clear title. It's going to potentially be a title issue. We have had surveyors, we have had everybody look at through the title and see if we could clarify who is the true owner of this property, and we have not been able to do that. So to make sure the proper landowner is compensated, we're going to use the condemnation process to make that happen. The next ones are for project EWC 28004A. This is parcel 3, Barco Investments LLC, parcel 4, E&K Investments LLC, and parcel 5, Barco Investments LLC. These 3 landowners have requested condemnation they just have been in negotiations before and past 8 agencies, and they prefer just to go to condemnation and just let the court kind of determine that value. And so as their request, we are going to go that direction. With that, I stand for any questions.
Just a comment on the first parcel, as you mentioned, the condemnation is going to basically confirm ownership, title, and this route actually saves money versus doing a quiet title suit and then having to
Correct.
pursue that.
Yes,
So
sir.
actually, the condemnation route or concept in this particular tract is a money saver.
Yes, and it helps with the landowner to avoid having to go through two actions.
So
And,
there's nobody to actually make an offer?
Correct, that's correct, sorry.
yeah, no. And again, on the second one too, just to confirm, the condemnation request is from them.
Yes, sir.
And it's not something that we pursue, but they want to.
Yes, sir, we always try to avoid condemnation all possible, but for those these 4 properties, we're unable to do that in this situation.
Okay? Thank you.
Any offers been exchanged on the second parcel, or is there no offers whatsoever?
We presented our offer, and then they said that they'd want to go, through their attorney, said they want to just go to condemnation.
Any other comments? If not, I approve this item as presented.
We have a motion for approval of item 1303. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended, and item 1303 has been approved. Our next items of business concerning the reports, and the first report is the Highway Patrol Report. Captain Vinson.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, board members. For the month of June, the Turnpike system reported 1 fatality. We had 6 criminal interdictions. Turnpike troopers made 4,753 violator contacts, and we reported 1,037 motorists and investigated 177 accidents. Keeping this short, commercial motor vehicle enforcement and motorcycle enforcement is included in your review in your packet.
Any
Questions?
Any questions? No? Thank you. Our next report is our consulting engineer report, Mr. Jimmy Sparks.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, members of the authority, Director Kelly. Concerning the trust requirements, all in-service facility inspections for the 2025 annual report are nearing completion. We are compiling all these reports for our annual report, which is due on October 1st. And within that, as I say often, we'll be looking at our capital plan recommendations and rebalancing where needed. So if anything has accelerated in its need for rehabilitation, we can look at that then. Kind of in advance of that report, I was looking at some historical rating performance and some bridge ratings and pavement condition indices. And in early 2000s, we really had an emphasis on the H.E. Bailey bridges, kind of like we have on the Indian Nation right now. And some of those nearing 25 plus years ago, and looking at the performance rating of those bridges, they are still in the good category. So when we look at our rehabilitation practices, we are investing very well, doing say full-scale rehabilitation on those structures. So that's all to keep the older facilities operating in the good condition. In July, our engineers checked 69 special overload requests for trucks to travel in the system, and I report these monthly just to show the vitality of the Turnpike system to transporting goods and special loads. And this, as you probably recall, the number of the requests has seen a steady increase over the past several years. No special inspections to report, and our capital plan project summaries in our monthly report, and always happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Thanks, Jimmy. Our next report is the trustee report. Ms. Singleton.
Good morning, Chair Jones, members of the authority, Director Kelly. As bond trustee to the authority, all monthly debt service payments were made for the semi-annual payments due to the bondholders as required by the trust agreement. To our knowledge, all other requirements set forth under the trust agreement have been satisfied. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Rachel. Our next report are the operating results and financial condition. Wendy Smith.
Chairman Jones, members of the authority, Director E. Kelly. You all received your operations report prepared by the Comptroller Division for June, and I'm happy to report that net toll revenues for June on the system reported at $43.1 million. Total transactions grew by 2.2% as compared to last year, and heavy truck traffic does remain strong. We're watching that really closely, obviously. And additionally, year-to-date toll revenues continue to outpace budgeted projections by 9.1%. The managers for OTA continue to be prudent in their spending, which leads to our continuing to steadily achieve and exceed our trust-required senior and total debt service ratios. And again, as I said, we are continuing to look at traffic through the year to, compare to projected. Any questions?
I had a question. So I was looking at the reports, and in one of the reports, it has that interoperability revenue. So would that be classified as more truck-related traffic, I presume?
Some of it could be, but I don't think it all is. I mean, there's a lot, especially in the summer, there's a lot of people traveling through Oklahoma, you know, just to do their normal vacations.
So when you say the truck traffic, so if the trucking companies from Texas, do they buy a Pike Pass, or are they using their? Okay.
Yes, yeah, we really, I mean, and we're interoperable with so many, and I know we're trying to be interoperable with Easy Pass. That's our next big, obviously, one that we'll be working on. But yeah, there's a lot of trucks are interoperable, obviously, because they travel so much across the country. But there are a lot of, you know, passenger vehicles using it as well, just for their normal vacations. They don't have to, you know, pay the pay rate or, you know, wait for their invoice.
Any other questions or comments? Thanks, Wendy.
All right, thanks.
Our next report is the Director's Report. Mr. E. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To start this off, I'm going to, with your permission, obviously, invite LaDan back up here to give our quarterly update on the Access Program. If LaDan could head this way. And one thing that popped up on my agenda to talk about today, while LaDan's making her way up here, just this morning, as we were preparing to come over to the Department of Transportation for this meeting, several of us started receiving the smishing text messages again. We don't have any slides keyed up for this today. It just all happened kind of last minute. But Joni checked, and we are receiving another surge of phone calls calling into our call center with this phishing, smishing text scam that's going on. Doesn't necessarily have to do with the Turnpike Authority. They're targeting the Department of Motor Vehicles. They're targeting traffic violations. They're putting a lot of stuff out there. So just as a message to everybody, please pay attention. Check on the people who might fall for something like that, and don't respond. We are not sending any text messages on the Turnpike Authority's behalf to anybody trying to collect any money. So we'll do this access update, and then I'll step back up here. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Good morning again. It is time for us to provide another Access Quarterly Update. We're going to start with the pre-construction phase of Access Oklahoma. So this includes 72 submittals that have been provided between Q2 of 2025. This includes the design submittals as well as the right-of-way plan submittals. So our project management, QA/QC, as well as our designers have done an excellent job of providing us the design submittals so we can approve of those and move on to the next submittal date. And as well as the designers have been doing an excellent job of doing the right-of-way plans and getting those approved by Todd and his team. So this quarter, we have felt that a lot more. We've gotten a lot more acceptance of those right-of-way plans, and we are now starting to shift towards the right-of-way portion of the program. With that, the OTA has sent out 148 notice of intent letters out to property owners across the program. So with these letters, this process is really starting to increase. We are actively in discussion with 91 property owners. We have closed on 27 parcels, as well as we have had 28 additional offers made to date. So we strongly encourage any property owners or anyone of the general public, if they have any questions regarding this process, to reach out to the right-of-way team via the accessoklahoma.com website or by any of the contacts that are on that website as well. So speaking of right-of-way, that helps us transition over to the utility aspect of it. And OTA is working with a multitude of utility owners across the program, both public and private. One of the public utility owners is the City of Moore. So we are entering into a utility relocation agreement for the relocation of 2 effluent lines. The effluent lines, the cost for those is $55.8 million. This is for 2 30-inch lines, and this is over 38,000 linear foot. The OTA will pay for 100% of this cost, which includes the design, right-of-way, material, and construction cost. The relocation of these lines is necessary as we need to build the east-west connector between I-44 and I-35. So it is vital that we get those effluent lines relocated accordingly. The City of Moore has been a great partner with us, and we look forward to continue with working with them throughout the program. So when we transition from right-of-way and utilities, we're going to move over to the construction side of the house. So we have great news, a great update for you all. So for the JKT between I-35 and Eastern, We changed that from a 4-lane facility to a 6-lane facility in 8 months, and it is going to be fully open to traffic by the end of day. That is a huge progress for one of the first access projects within from the very beginning. The contractor is ahead of schedule, and they do anticipate on getting the full incentive for that job. So great job to C3, great job to Jeff Garter and the construction division. This portion of the JKT carries a large volume of traffic, and this corridor improvement will help alleviate traffic near I-35 in the Edmond area. So the next project we do have is the Wellston Bridge project on the Turner Turnpike. It is a little over 60% complete, and we do anticipate having a traffic switch in mid-August, so we want to bring awareness as traffic is going to be in a different alignment. This traffic, all of the traffic is going to be switched over to the eastbound bridge, the new bridge that you all see paved right there, and as well as the new pavement. So all traffic is going to be utilizing that eastbound pavement, and we are going to be ripping out that temporary shoe fly that you see on the west side of the slide. And we do anticipate 66 being fully opened in fall of 2025. The next item is we do have a couple lettings on the east-west connector and the Turner Turnpike. In October, we are letting a bridge near the Wellston area in Lincoln County, as well as in November, we are going to be letting the first east-west connector bridge, east-west connector project. This includes the east-west connector, the Canadian River Bridge, and with the Pennsylvania Bridge. These projects are going to be tied, and it's going to be over $200 million. So it's the first project, and it's a large scope. So we are extremely thrilled to put that out to the public and get construction started in spring of '26. So the last item for the update is going to be the South Extension Public Summary. So back in May, we did go out to the public, and we asked them to provide us feedback, and they did exactly that. They provided us over 600 comments, and 2/3 of those comments were extremely helpful for the alignment analysis process. So we want to say thank you to the citizens, thank you to Norman, thank you to Purcell, Cleveland County, and McLean County, because we needed their input to help us with that engineering analysis. And we are using those comments during the engineering analysis, and we expect to have a new alignment determined by fall of 2025. If anyone has any questions at any given time, we just want to reemphasize to go to the accessoklahoma.com website and use those points of contact at any given time. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and if not, thank you.
Any questions? Thanks, LaDan.
Thank you.
Thank you, LaDan. Goodness. Just want to highlight a couple things that LaDan talked about there. First and foremost, we started a project 8 months ago on the fastest growing highway, I think it's highway in the state, for sure turnpike in the state, the John Kilpatrick, to widen it between Eastern and I-35. Started it 8 months ago, right, Jeff? And this morning, they've started pulling the cones off. It's going to be open to 6 lanes by the end of the day. That is a huge accomplishment, again, for our staff and really what Access Oklahoma and our bond program is all about. So excited about that. Also, we will be highlighting this traffic switch coming up in Wellston in a few months. That has been a challenging construction zone. So in a few weeks, as we're shifting traffic around and we've got several traffic switches to do, we'll be updating them through the news media about that in the coming weeks. Just really want everybody to really pay attention in that construction zone. It can sneak up on you. It's short. It's only about a mile long. We're just asking you to go 55 miles an hour for 1 mile. And if everybody would do that, it would make that a much safer location, both for our workers and for the public that's trying to get through there. Again, also, LaDan, thank you for all the update on the South Extension Turnpike. I'm excited that we received so many good comments from the public. The engineering team's been working through that and look forward to hearing a summary in the coming weeks. I want to shift and talk about something that was a little bit unusual, at least for me, to do. We had a YouTuber. More and more people are watching YouTube nowadays, but a YouTuber named Road Guy Rob that came out and did a pretty in-depth interview with me and researched the history of the Turnpike Authority. If you haven't looked up Road Guy Rob, and I know we've sent a link to this to the board members, but if you haven't looked up Road Guy Rob on YouTube, you should look him up. It's just been a week and a half or so ago. He did this interview with us. He published the video. He did the interview about a month ago. It really went into depth about why Oklahoma has turnpikes and analyzed the reasons why we're going to continue to have turnpikes. That being the unique and unique opportunity to finance a project and get out-of-state folks to pay for about half of it. That's pretty. Not necessarily unique to Oklahoma, but very unique to our state in that we've got so many interstate miles, very nice highway, that we're able to leverage a turnpike network that's a pay-as-you-go, pay-as-you-use service. So excited about that. And if you haven't gotten to watch the Road Guy Rob video, he just taking a fresh look. We talk about this all the time. We talk about it with people who've worked here before us. And so we continue to tell the same story, but we tend to tell it the same way. Rob is from California. He's a civil engineer, but he spent most of his career in media. So when he came to Oklahoma, he really had a fresh look at how you tell this story. I thought he did a great job, and so I'd encourage anybody who hadn't gotten to watch it to take a few minutes to check it out. Shifting gears here, I would like to talk briefly about the tribal license plate issue that we still have here in our state that is unique to Oklahoma. This really came out from us going to cashless, us going to plate pay, and us realizing how many tribal citizens didn't have a pike pass and the lack of our ability to be able to get into the law enforcement system to look up a registered owner to mail a bill. That's all this was about. As we started to highlight this issue in 2023, several things have come about, and I really want to talk today and update the board on the Cherokee Nation. Last year, calendar year 2024, toward the end of the year, the governor's office and the Cherokees came to a compact agreement on motor vehicle tags. Part of that agreement included an addendum, which was an agreement between the Cherokees and the Turnpike Authority. I think we brought this to the board back in December of this last year. A couple of things were in that agreement. One was that the Cherokees offered to settle back tolls. They didn't want to mail fresh invoices to their tribal citizens having a Cherokee tag that didn't have a pike pass. So we came to an agreement where they were going to pay, I think in total, $2 million over the course of 3 years, three equal payments over 3 years to the Turnpike Authority to settle those back tolls. We signed that agreement into November, 1st of December last year. It went into effect 1st of December. We started receiving their motor vehicle registered owner information. We've been billing since December Cherokee citizens that choose to drive on the Turnpike and use plate pay. And in January, we supplied an invoice to the Cherokees. They paid their first installment payment of that $2 million. I am happy to report that a couple weeks ago, I got a phone call that they wanted to go ahead and asked if it would be a problem for the OTA to receive the remaining 2 payments just as one payment up front and get it done here summer of 2025. We said sure. We supplied an invoice to them, and within just a couple of days, they've made the transfer. So I'm just here to tell you today that agreement, that portion of the agreement has been complete. I do want to give a shout out to several people, and I think some of them are watching today online. First and foremost, Governor's Office, the Governor, and Chief Hoskins for coming to this agreement, really helping us resolve a longstanding issue. Also, though, in the Governor's Office, a couple people, one that was there at the time, Trevor Pemberton, the General Counsel, and now Ben Lepak, who worked on this, as well as the person that I've communicated the most with the Cherokees, Chad Harsha, the Attorney General for the Cherokees. Just been really great to work with. Appreciate all the help that they've given to me and really helping us resolve this issue, a pretty long-standing issue. And I think we've got, this agreement is good for 10 years, so we have 9.5 years to go. And I think it's going to be fine. I think that it'll get renewed in the future and be prolonged. So excited to comment on that on the Cherokee Nation. We have had a couple things that I know I've updated the board on in the past, but I just want to make sure that I talk about them now as we're nearing, I believe, nearing the end. We have the Legislative Office of Fiscal Transparency started a study to look at, how much money does the Turnpike Authority owe in outstanding bonds, and what would the route need to be for the legislature to take over or to pay off the Turnpike Authority bonds. We've been answering questions related to that over the course of really about the last year, Julie. Julie's been our main point of contact, so I got to look to her for confirmation here. But we've been answering a lot of questions, providing some information to them, trying to make sure that they understand the full story. I mention this today because, as I understand it, they're nearing the completion of that report. That'll be filed. We still have several back and forth discussions to have, but it'll be filed probably in the course of the next month or two, and so I just don't want anybody to be surprised about that loft report. The other one that leads me into is the state auditor. As a recap, an investigative audit was requested by the Attorney General, Gettner Drummond, in March of 2023. I think we received our engagement letter late in 2023, and so they really ramped up doing the audit a state audit in 2024, really last summer. And I know we're obviously getting, every day that goes by, we're getting closer to the completion of that audit. Really want to commend Julie and her team, Micah and others, for answering all the questions. We've got a lot of stuff going on between going cashless and all our normal things, and then in addition to that, trying to answer questions that are coming from the state auditor. The state auditor has not audited the Turnpike Authority before. That is unique for the state auditor. Most audits that they go and complete on other state agencies, they've been there before. So coming to the Turnpike Authority, it was a very fresh audit, so they spent a lot of time doing discovery, and that's the reason I think that it's taken a long time to get really into the details. The things that they've been looking at have been our contractual relationships between the Department of Transportation and the Turnpike Authority, our joint projects that we've worked together on, MOUs, agreements, as well as they've looked at how we select consultants, how we bid out projects, and all of the things that we do to work on and improve the Turnpike system that we have in our state. So just want to mention that. I don't have any indication, there's no due date on any of these things, but in addition to the loft report and the state auditor's audit, both of those things were mentioned in some upcoming interim studies with the legislature. So typically, since I've been paying attention the last 4 or 5 years, the Turnpike authorities had opportunity in September and October usually to present at the legislature. We have several interim studies that we're tracking, about 24 maybe 20, 24 interim studies that we're tracking. They have to do with everything from the state retirement system to very directly with, and specifically with the Turnpike Authority. Of those 24 that we're tracking, there are 5 or 6 that we're going to try to participate in, or that we anticipate participating in. One of them has to do with roadside cameras, law enforcement on roadside cameras, those types of things that both the DOT and the Turnpike Authority will participate in. So relating this back to the loft and state audit, some of the, one of the interim studies said that if the audit is complete, if the loft report is complete, that will be an opportunity for the legislature to ask the Turnpike Authority questions. We're looking forward to that. It'll be an opportunity for us to, again, tell our story and tell the good story about the things that we do. So those 2 things will be coming up in the next month. I just wanted you to be aware in anticipation of that, maybe making news or something over the course of the next couple weeks before we get to our next board meeting.
Hey, Joe, if I can just
Yes.
make a comment. You know, you made the comment this is the first time that the state auditor has audited us, but I do think it's important to add a little corollary to that, which is we're audited by a lot of different organizations all the time. So it's not like this is our first audit, it's just the first audit of this type.
Absolutely. Thank you for circling me back to that, sincerely, because I intended to go down this path and forgot. The Turnpike Authority is audited by a third-party, top 5 auditor every year. We go through a financial audit. In addition to that, when you sell bonds, you are well audited. You can't go into the bond market and not have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted. The Turnpike Authority very recently, back in January, February timeframe, was in the bond market. We answer questions from investors and all the way to the credit rating agencies that come take a very good look, very hard look at the business that the Turnpike Authority does here in our state. So yes, absolutely, we are audited, and that's honestly, I hate it when people say honestly, because it sounds like somebody was gonna not say something honestly, and I'm always honest. The reason that we've never been audited is because it's unnecessary. We go through this very in-depth financial audit every year. The audit that is ongoing right now with the state auditor is at the Turnpike Authority's expense. So we've paid $150,000 for an audit that's redundant to an audit that we already do. So I think that's really the reason that it hasn't happened in the 70-plus year history in the past. We want to do this routinely going forward. It'll be easier in the future because they'll have already had a look into our financials. So we're not afraid of that, and if that's something that comes up, then that'll be fine. So.
Yeah, one additional comment is, in addition to all of what you just described, we also have a very robust internal auditing program.
That's correct, yeah. So internal audit here at OTA routinely, time or two a month, provides audit reports to our audit committee, provides audit reports to us. When there is a finding, we typically address it in a matter of a few hours as opposed to anything else. We take care of stuff like that. Okay. Transitioning to a couple of safety messages here. Next month, we'll be talking in depth about seatbelt safety, which is always top of mind for all of us. But something that's unique here in the month of August, and I think that just about everybody in this room, everybody watching online knows somebody that's going back to school. And I want to remind everybody that those school zone signs that start flashing, those kids that are newly attending a school can run across the road at any time. So please, over the course of the next couple of weeks, pay careful attention on your own to school buses that haven't been making stops on the highway or on the city street over the course of the last several months. And these new kids that are fresh going to school, running across the street, it is just a dangerous situation. Seems like every year the news media tries to highlight, hey, everybody pay attention. We got law enforcement that's trying to enforce it. We have no school zones on turnpikes. So this isn't necessarily a turnpike-centric concern, right? But it affects everybody in Oklahoma because everybody knows somebody that's in school. So I'm just asking everybody to please pay attention in those school zones, and especially for the new kids that are running around. The Turnpike Authority shifting to work zones. We have about a dozen significant work zones right now where we've got traffic narrowed, we've got lanes narrowed, we've got drop-offs on the side. Things change day to day. Please slow down, take your time, be vigilant in your drive. And if you're curious about what the traffic looks like or what the situation is on a route that you're taking, you can visit www.oktraffic.org, and you can download the Drive Oklahoma app, and you can look at traffic, construction zones that are on any particular route. I use Waze all the time. I'm not sponsored by Waze. No, we're not sponsored by Waze, but they are great we provide I'll tell you real quickly how that works. We tweet out that we're going to have a lane closure, or we're going to have a shift, or there's going to be something going on. And there are editors that are following Oklahoma Turnpike Authority, Oklahoma DOT, City of Oklahoma City, whatever city, and they'll pull that information and go on a map and mark it to where at 10 a.m. there's going to be a lane closed. So Waze is usually really, really good. And so I use it on routine drives that I drive all the time, just because sometimes it'll direct me a different way, and it's usually due to some unexpected event or just roadway maintenance. So suggest anybody to use one of those apps. One last thing that's a little bit unique and very unique to the Turnpike Authority is that this August starts college back. We talked a little bit about what I was targeting as elementary, middle, and high school kids going back to school and those school zones. But if you're a kid, if you're a parent or have a child or that's about to head off to college, give us a call at Pike Pass and let us get them set up with a Pike Pass in their car so they don't have to deal with getting an invoice in the mail at a later date. It'll be the most efficient way and smoothest and most efficient way to travel. When we had cash toll collection, it was the #1 place on our Turnpike network to get in an accident, was it pulling in there to pay cash. We've gone cashless now. Get a Pike Pass. We can make this extremely efficient for your travel and to pay an invoice. When you call Pike Pass, you need 3 pieces of information. You need your license plate number, you need an email address that we can associate with that account, and a mobile phone number, and obviously a method of payment. So would instruct anybody that's sending somebody off to college to look into getting a Pike Pass. With that, to answer any questions that the board might have of me.
Well, the other reason you want to get a Pike Pass is because it's cheaper rates. Any other questions? Thank you, Director E. Kelly. Next item of business is item 1304, Mr. Cohn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In accordance with Title 25, Section 307B4 of the Oklahoma statutes, I move that this regular public meeting of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority adjourn and reconvene in executive session for the purpose of confidential communication between the authority and its attorney regarding Kevin A. Easley Sr. versus OTA et al. In Rogers County case number CJ 2025-357.
Thank you. We have a motion to move into executive session. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Weber. Please vote appropriately. We are adjourned into executive session. Todd, are there some additional invitees?
Oh, yes, sorry. I was all busy heading to the executive session. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'd like to also invite Joey Kelly, Joni Seymour, Julie Porter, Trent January, Paul Caesar, Wendy Smith, Jordan Perdue, Lisa Salim, Mary Biswell, Mark Mann, Philip Whaley, Grant Lucky, Eric Lair, and Jenny Johnson. Thank you.
I move to end the executive session and reconvene the authority's regular public meeting.
Thank you. We have a motion to end the executive session and reconvene our public authority meeting. Do we have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Cohn. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended, and we are back in our regular authority meeting session. There were no motions or actions to be taken. I move for an adjournment. I ask for a motion for adjournment to the next meeting scheduled for Tuesday, September 9th, 2025 at 10 a.m.
So moved?
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Berry, please vote appropriately. Voting is ended. We're adjourned to September 9th, 10 a.m.